Hi everybody, welcome back. We're about to have some more stories today. Boo came over because she wanted to hear the stories. And because Boo's been with me all week when I've been telling you my stories, I thought it would be fun to have some stories about dogs today. Whether they be real dogs like Boo or whether they be stuffed dogs or pretend dogs. Dogs are pretty nice to snuggle up with, aren't they? One of my favorite pretend dogs is a big red dog, and his name is Clifford. I don't know if you've ever met Clifford through stories before, and I think he's even on TV sometimes. Clifford is a very special dog who grew to be very, very big, like that. But like all dogs, he didn't start out very, very big. He started out like a puppy. So today I'm going to read two stories about Clifford when he was a little tiny puppy. And the first one is called Clifford, the Small Red Puppy. Look how cute he looks. Can you see that in the front? He's so small that his bowl looks enormous, doesn't it? Let's see. Hi, I'm Emily Elizabeth, and this is Clifford, my big red dog. Yesterday, my friend Martha said, I got my dog from a fancy pet store. Where did you get your dog? So I told her how I got Clifford. When I was little, I lived in the city, and I didn't have a dog. One day, the man down the hall called us. His dog had had puppies. He wanted to give me one. One puppy was smaller than all of the rest. The man said, oh, don't take him. He's the runt. He will always be small. But I loved that little puppy the moment I saw him. He needed me. I named my puppy Clifford. He was so tiny that I had to feed him with a doll's baby bottle. He was so small that he didn't fit into any collars. I'll have to show you that page too. Even the smallest collar was too big for him. It fell right off. When he began to eat dog food, we had to watch him carefully because sometimes he fell in. Poor Clifford. He was so small that he was always getting lost. Even in our small apartment, once he got lost in my dad's boot. That was pretty silly. Daddy said Clifford was just too small. That night, I told Clifford that I wished that he would grow to be a really big, healthy dog. And I told him that I loved him. The next morning, he looked a little bit bigger to me. He looks a little bigger to me too, doesn't he, to you? He seemed to have an easier time eating his dog food. He didn't fall in the bowl. And his collar did not fall off. In fact, by the time Daddy got home from work, his collar was too small. Whoa, he's definitely growing, isn't he? By bedtime, Clifford's tiny basket seemed a little too small for him to sleep in. And by morning, he was sleeping next to me on my pillow. Oh my, he's getting big. I think that was a mistake. He took all the covers. Next morning, Mommy thought Clifford looked different. Daddy said, I think he's growing. Do you think he's growing? I think so too. I decided to take Clifford for a walk. At the corner, I saw a big dog coming around the corner. I thought maybe I should pick Clifford up so the dog wouldn't hurt him. But I guess I shouldn't have worried. Look how big Clifford is now. He's bigger than Emily Elizabeth. Clifford really was growing. We ran home to show Mommy. Had our apartment door grown smaller? Daddy couldn't believe it. We had to put Clifford in the garden that night to sleep. He didn't fit in our apartment anymore. In the morning, the lady upstairs called us about Clifford. because he was looking in her window and she didn't like it. Wow, he's big. In fact, all the neighbors started to notice him. The landlord called the police and they came to see Clifford. They said Clifford was a little too big for our apartment and he might have to find a new home. Oh no, I bet that would make Emily sad. There was just one way to get him out of the garden, so we got a crane and put him in a moving truck. I wonder where he's going, don't you? Do you see him peeking out of the truck? I see his red tail right there. I was sad. I missed my puppy, and he missed me too. One day, we got a surprise. Clifford was living with my uncle, and my uncle wanted Daddy to come work with him in the country, so we moved right away. Clifford was waiting for me. I said, Clifford, you can stop growing now. You're just right. So, I said to Martha, that's how I got my dog. Tell me again how you got your dog. And Martha said, forget it. And that's how Clifford turned from a teeny little red dog to a great big red dog. I have another book about Clifford when he was a baby. It was kind of fun to see Clifford when he was a baby because we usually see Clifford when he's a really big red dog, but he was a really cute little baby, wasn't he? This book is called Clifford's Puppy Days. Look, she's washing him. Emily Elizabeth is washing him. His little ears are getting cleaned. Hi, we are Clifford and Emily Elizabeth. Clifford is my dog, and he is pretty big. Clifford wasn't always so big. When he was a puppy, he was very, very small. I had to be careful when I played with him. That ball was bigger than Clifford, wasn't it? He was too small to get the ball and bring it back to me. Poor little Clifford. He wanted to play with my toys, but they seemed so big to him. Poor Clifford got smushed by my toys sometimes, but he liked the merry-go-round. Actually, it was called a record player, but it went around and around, and so did Clifford when he sat on it. It makes music. On cold winter days, Clifford found snugly warm places to sleep. I don't see him, do you? Is he hiding? Oh, wait. Is there something on top of Emily's hat? Do you think that might be little Clifford in there? Let's see if it is. Yes, it was in her hat. We put a clock by his bed at night. The ticking sound seemed to lull him to sleep. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Once I forgot to turn off the alarm and it went ring, 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 and Clifford went flying. At first, I gave Clifford a bath in the bathtub. He looks kind of little for that bathtub, doesn't he? He slipped off the soap one day and I almost lost him, poor Clifford. So I decided I would wash him in a soup bowl instead. Much safer, don't you think? He fits in there just right, like a little mini bathtub. Daddy was surprised when I told him what I had used for Clifford's bathtub because Daddy was eating his soup out of the same bowl she gave Clifford a bath in, and Daddy said, "Ooh, there's bubbles in my soup, yucky." It was fun having such a small puppy, but Clifford was easy to lose. One day when my aunt came over to visit, we thought we lost him for a minute. You see where he's going? That's her aunt's purse. I think he might go inside. Let's see if he does. When she left, we looked all over for my little puppy, but my aunt found him when she went to the grocery store. He came jumping out of her purse. That was silly. Clifford was scared. He plopped into some donuts. They looked yummy. And then he ran through the pies. Oh my, Clifford is having a bakery adventure. The baker tried to catch him, but Clifford climbed to the top of a very big cake and landed in the whipped cream. The baker was a little bit upset, so my aunt had to bring him back home. What a mess. My aunt didn't know what to do. She didn't want to bring Clifford home looking like that. A small boy with a big dog had an idea. He said his dog loved whipping cream. So the dog gave Clifford a bath and licked it off. That must have been yummy. I was so happy to have Clifford home again. The dog who brought him to me was the biggest dog I had ever seen. You see that big dog? Until Clifford grew up, of course. And now Clifford is the biggest dog I've ever seen. And Clifford and Emily Elizabeth lived happily ever after. And if you have a stuffed dog or a pretend dog or a real dog, snuggle them tight and have a great rest of your day. Bye, friends.